Welcome to Charted Territory, the podcast where personal growth meets adventure. Join us, Vicky and Kimmy, lifelong best friends and business partners, as we use human design as a map to navigate the uncharted paths of life. Together, we'll explore how to align with your true self and live a life filled with clarity, purpose, and flow. Whether you're feeling lost, curious, or ready for change, we're here to inspire, entertain, and guide you with practical insights, playful conversations, and plenty of laughs. Let the adventure begin. Welcome to a new episode of Charted Territory, a podcast about human design. I'm Kimmy. I'm your co-host. I'm a 6'2" emotional projector.
And I'm Vicky Garcia, your 2-4 self-projected projector.
Today, we're going to answer a very interesting question, one that I actually get a lot. And it's, can ChatGPT tell me everything I need to know about my human design? Let's talk about it. Let's wing it. We're winging it today. Also, Vicky learned what winging it means today.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we're always learning.
I'm not so expertise in some certain like slang expressions in English, but that's okay.
That's
So
okay.
yeah, let's wing it.
Let's wing it.
And yeah, it's a question that it seems that Kimi gets a lot. Not me or not that much. I guess that people don't have the courage to ask that to me.
Me.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's a super interesting question because actually, yeah, from some time now on, ChatGPT has been a super handy or useful tool for a lot of people in a lot of different kind of tasks. I myself also like to use it in certain aspects. I also use it sometimes, for example, when I'm creating content about human design, for example, for like the texts and all this kind of thing. And it can be useful, and it actually gives you some information, or it can help you with some of the copywriting. Here's my baby boy crying. I don't know if you can hear him.
And by baby boy, she means baby dog, not
Yeah,
an actual
that
baby.
kind of baby boy. Baby boy, hola. Here he is. So yeah, ChatGPT comes handy when, for example, writing about a topic or whatever. It can give you some structure, sometimes ideas or a framework or stuff like that.
Yeah, but most
Um,
people are not using ChatGPT with human design for that kind of work, right? It's people wanting to learn about their own human design with ChatGPT. So, what in what do you think are the limitations of ChatGPT for someone that wants to learn more about their design using only that as a tool? Or is it a good place to start? Is it not? I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts for someone
it
just
can give you, as we are saying, like it can give you a certain framework, but this is as everything else in life. If you really want to use something properly, you cannot be lazy. And so you cannot give it like the minimum effort and receive the maximum benefits. And so it's like, for example, would you write your, I don't know, a university thesis? I don't know if it's like that, no? Thesis?
thesis?
Um,
Thesis.
that um, entirely basing your work on what ChatGPT tells you. Like, for example, I haven't used like the paid version of it. I only used like the free version. So I don't know if maybe the paid version has an upgrade to it that actually makes it more accurate or more complex, or I don't know. So I don't know up to what point it can be how useful. But for example, me myself, I've always considered myself to be a little bit like critique with or critic. How do you?
Critical.
Okay,
Critical.
critical with the information that you receive, but like that's obvious, like for anything in life you have to contrast, you have to compare information, you have to know if it's the most, como dirías, fidedigna o confiable.
Accurate.
Okay, you have to know if it's the most accurate source of information, the one that you are consulting, because if not, you are having
You are receiving wrong.
misinformation instead
Yeah.
of information. And so, and this is like a little bit also like alert, or how, yeah, like an alert. I've used it, and because I know the difference between certain aspects, when it gives me something wrong, I get
You
that it's
know,
something
right.
wrong or
But,
that it's a
but
mistake.
someone that doesn't know anything about human design will never know if something is right or wrong because they have no baseline. Basically, from what I understand, the way that ChatGPT works, it's learning or accumulating information from existing sources. So
Exactly.
it's not creating new information, right? It's just taking
Yeah.
what is already there on the internet
Yeah.
and putting it all together in a
Yeah.
digestible way to answer your
Yeah.
question. So I
Yeah.
think for me, what really could get lost in using ChatGPT as your only source of information for your human design chart reading is a lot of the nuance and a lot
Yeah.
of the insights of the very specific things. Like, yes, if you ask ChatGPT, tell me what it is to be a generator, it's probably going to give you pretty accurate information. Now, can ChatGPT really tell you based on your full design how being a generator and having your throat defined and having channel 36.4, how is that all together going to play in your everyday life and how you can use that information to make decisions, to better your relationships, to make career moves? I think probably not.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, let me tell you, yeah, if you ask ChatGPT something super easy and super like precise, like for example, how many energy types are there in human design? Yeah, he's probably gonna tell you five and this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, and it's gonna give you some basic information, or so yeah, you can have more or less a picture, more or less an idea. However, I would, even in that case, always recommend just go on the internet to an accurate or contrasted or
Reliable,
official
a
source.
reliable.
Yeah, a reliable source of information, and contrast that information, because for example, I've done some work about the different energy centers, and it even doesn't know how many they are, or he repeats one, or he confuses the mind and the ashna with the crown and the head. And so because there's information that's a little bit complex out there too, and that sometimes it's not so clear, and sometimes the differentiation is not so clear between one thing or another. And even there are experts in the internet who are misinformating, because not all the information is accurate, not all the information is from their own, or not all the information is contrasted. So you have to be kind of careful, even with that kind of sources, even more with ChatGPT. So for me, it can give you certain ideas or creative frameworks, like to further, it can give you more of a like methodology, for example, to approach the human design. Or yeah, it can help you, I don't know, come with questions, and so then give you your own answers or whatever. It can be useful, but it cannot be your only source of information, because it's not going to be accurate,
Hmm.
and you are going to be misinformed. And so you are going to be thinking that you are understanding something about your human design, when you are actually not being able to, you're not going to be able to use it in the way that it's meant
Yeah.
to be useful for
And
you.
and I also think that the human design chart is so complex and so deep. It has so many layers to it that there, even if you were to feed everything about you, all the information in your chart to ChatGPT, and it had the correct information, which we already are establishing that there's a high chance that that won't be the case. Um,
Yeah, it won't get
it,
everything wrong, but it won't get everything right, most
yeah, but
probably.
exactly. But even if it did,
Even if it did.
and you're able to ask it questions, there isn't enough information out there about human design and how everything interconnects for each individual person, because remember that this is highly individualized,
Yeah.
that there's no way that if you were to ask ChatGPT a question, even if it had all the information about your chart, and then you asked it a specific question of, okay, give me advice based on my human design chart for this issue that I'm having with my partner,
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt that it would give you the level of understanding and advice that you are looking for in that moment. I
Yeah.
think that's where having a human to talk to, it's human design. I think it's also in the name. I think having someone to talk to that really understands the depth of the charts and the connections and can help guide you much more accurately and much more humanely to understanding yourself in that situation and in that moment.
Yeah, in fact, like ChatGPT repeats it a lot, but he's not a counsel, he's not a doctor, he's not a psychologist, he's not like he's just a language model. And
Mhm.
as a language model, he can only get that information and structure it in another way or whatever. So it comes handy, it's useful, but that's it. Of course, if you want to have a deep knowledge and a deep understanding of your design, first things first, you have to look for an expert that actually knows about human design and what he or she is talking about, and that can help you guide you through all that information, because it's in fact a lot of information. um, I've been already now studying for 3 years, and I am only starting to unravel the most deep parts of the human design. And well, also it's a really personal process of discovery.
Yeah.
Everybody like dives into it in a different way, in a personal way, in a much fast-paced way, or in a slower paced way. However, for example, and Ra Uruhu was the first one to say that human design is an experiment, in the sense of human design is also two things. It's a discovery journey, or self discovery journey, we could say, but also a discovery journey, because when you self discover, also you start to understand and discover the world around you in a different way. There's this other saying that I like a lot that says that even if nothing changes, if you change, everything changes. So it's a little bit like that. So when you start to self discover, you are gonna discover a new world around you, just because there's this thing mutating inside of you. So it's a self-discovery process, and it's also a self-discovery experiment. And this also I like a lot about human design, that it has a really actionable side to it. So it has to do with, okay, so with these insights that you got from who you are energetically, go out in the world and do things and see how it works. And there's this experimentation process of, okay, so if I'm a projector, okay, I'm gonna just not ask for the invitation or not wait for the invitation, and I'm gonna go and throw my stuff there and see what happens. And then, okay, so now I'm gonna wait for the invitation and see what happens. And so, and you start to observe all these things, and this is a little bit like the scientific method, it's trial and error, it's observing, it's taking notes about the differences and all these insights. And so it's a scientific process in that sense. It's
Yeah.
experimentational, it's
Yeah.
experiential, it's practical and also actionable. So it's very nice in that sense. And also, through the theory of human design, Ra Uru Hud said that it's going to take you 7 years from the point where you discover human design for the first time until you, even though you have a deep knowledge or you dive deep or however, it's going to take you at least 7 years to really start to integrate and embody everything that your human design knowledge can give you.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
almost midway through, yet I'm
Yeah.
not already there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think also if you think about it, even the question itself, can you learn everything you need to know about human design through ChatGPT? It can never be the case because it's not about knowledge. Knowing is only one part of it
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's such a important part of human design which is feeling
yeah,
and integrating and
yeah.
understanding and making those connections. So, really knowing about your human design, gathering that information is only like step one.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the point of human design is not knowing. It's, and we always talk about this, embodying. And that's the integration part of it. So I can understand it, and then that doesn't mean that I have made it mine. So I have to make it mine. I have to make it mine, and I have to feel it in my body, because that's another of the main themes of the human design theory. It has to do with the mind is not the decision making process or authority in no one of us. Like the mind is there to accompany, to gather information, to give you information back, to give you feedback, to help you in another, in a lot of other things. I always like to say that it's such a good server, but not a good lord, like the mind. So it should never be like the decision making tool, decision making process. It's not the mind, it is the body. It's in your body. So yeah, of course you have to feel it, because you're gonna feel it in your body. You're gonna feel it through your sacral and your visceral side, or your heart, or your identity, or your throat, or you're gonna feel it in your body. It has to do with embodying. Everything comes through the body and for the body and from the body. So that's the point. So yeah, of course, knowledge is nothing in that sense. Badoom.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree. I agree. I don't have such deep thoughts. Your
You
thoughts are
don't have
really
so.
deep. My
Yeah,
thoughts
actually,
aren't
my
that
mine.
deep. I don't know. I think that there is nothing like a human connection. And the human design chart is so intricate that I think just using ChatGPT is doing a huge disservice to yourself, and that you're going to miss a huge part of it. You might learn a lot. You might learn a lot and get a lot of insights, especially at the beginning when you're just starting out. I think it could be a good place to start. I think you could gain a lot of knowledge because it is quite heavy at the beginning. But I think by not exploring it with a person that is really, truly, deeply knowledgeable about it, I think you're going to miss a huge part of the insights and the opportunity to also connect with someone else about your human design.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's just I think it's a massive shame to only leave it in, oh well, I know what a projector is. I know the information about what a 6-2 profile is. I know my authority, I know my strategy, I know my variables. That's it, like I have what I need. I think leaving it only at that ever, I think is a bit of a shame personally.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree because as we were talking in the previous episode, human design comes to you in a certain way through a person or someone that speaks to you about it, or maybe you find it in the internet, but you find it through a person who's speaking about whatever, and you find certain resonance with whatever is being said,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
all
Like
this kind.
if you are curious enough to go to ChatGPT about your human design, it means you're really curious. It means that there's something there that has tickled something in you. So, what a shame to just leave it to some AI to tell you stuff about yourself. It's like a bit sad.
Yeah, as you said, I think it can be useful. For example, it can give you a framework. Like, I'm interested in knowing more about human design. Where should I start? And so probably it will give you certain ideas, or yeah, that roadmap of how can you start, like, to discover or unravel the complexity of a human design chart or of the human design system, because it's actually a lot, like loads of information, loads
Yeah.
and loads of information. And so yeah, going and diving into that, like just like that, it's like going into the ocean and not knowing nothing about anything. And so you can feel really lost there because there's so much
Yeah.
information that you're going to be drowned by it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and it can give you certain insights and certain idea of how and where to start and all that, but as you say, always further, like deepening your understanding and your connection with your own chart through a person that, as you say, has certain expertise or is reliable, and it's gonna be much easier. And also I think it's much more enjoyable because
Yeah,
you're gonna be
agreed.
connecting with a person, and
Or a
normally
group
that
of
person is gonna be
people as
passionate.
well. Yeah, with either connecting with one person through a human one-to-one human design chart reading, or maybe even through a group of people, like with a group of people, maybe through a community. I think there's
Yeah.
also something to be said about that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because actually the human design experience can be very, very different depending on if you are being guided by one person or another, or
Mm.
you have a human design reader or a human design expert or a human design coach or whatever you are connecting with at a point, and then you're connecting with another one, and they're going to give you like completely different sides, aspects, views, perspectives, and knowledge about yourself and your human design and human design in general. So it's really different depending on the person you are going to be connecting with. For example, as you know, like we also have a really, I would say, alternative approach to human design,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
I haven't, at least for the moment, I haven't ever seen someone who's approaching human design in the holistic, integrative way that we are kind of approaching the topic, because
yeah,
we are trying to see more, or we are trying to look at it more like a complex system that works together and every piece is important. And the traditional human design kind of way of sharing the knowledge is a more, much more like, I, or that's my feeling, like a step by step kind of approach.
yeah,
And so I think sometimes that works wonder. It's funny that I'm saying this because I have left facing awareness arrow, so I should usually be fond of that kind of approach
structure.
because I'm a 1 1 1 2 1 3 2 1 2 2 2 3 2 1 2 2 1 kind of person. But in this kind of sense, I think like this holistic, really rounded, cohesive, and coherent way of understanding all the parts and how every piece plays a part in this complex puzzle that you are as a human being is really the key. Because if not, you're gonna get like we said in the previous episode too, you're gonna get this feeling of like, oh, just like the Enneagram. So yeah, I'm a Scorpio, or yeah, I'm a Taurus, and yeah, as a Scorpio, for example, I'm, I don't know, intense and passionate, or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but that doesn't define me. But
Yeah.
like your whole human design actually defines who you are,
Yeah.
and that's not something that I say, it's something that I've had, like, that I'm grateful to have been able to witness through all the people that I've connected with. So people have also give me some feedback that it's actually super beautiful, like to hear from my perspective or my side, when someone tells you, I can see me there, I recognize me, or
Mhm.
I remember who I am.
Yeah.
So that's super deep, that's like heavy,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful to see that. And it's because they are not getting just like you are an energetic type. You are
Right.
not an energetic type, also because, and how would you say, like disclaimer or something like that, we don't like tags. I don't like tags, you know that I don't like tags at all. And so I don't like to put people into boxes. So I'm not a projector. Being
Yeah.
a projector is part of who I am, and that makes a part of who I am, and it's a useful part of who I am. And acknowledging that, the same way that I don't know, I'm brunette and I'm a woman, but I could be so much more things, and I'm so much more things when I don't think of me as a brunette or as a woman. And I apply that to everything in my life. I don't like to categorize things or categorize people, because I find it so limiting, it's so
Yeah.
constricting. And
Hmm.
so the purpose of spirituality should never be constricting you. It should be the opposite. Like spirituality has to do with liberating, with expanding, with knowing that you are so much more, you are so big that you are, I don't know, you cannot hold it. It's
Hmm.
something much much bigger. You are something much more bigger. And so human design is like that. And for having that approach and that understanding, you have to see it as a whole. It cannot be a summatory of parts.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Down. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's super important to get the right approach and be guided by a person that actually understands the depth of your design and how it can help you upgrade your experience.
Yeah. That being said, if you're interested in working with Vicky,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can book a free discovery call in the description of this episode. You can head to our website, head to our Instagram to see what's up there. But yeah, Vicky is available for human design chart readings. And like I said, you can have a completely free discovery call to see if it feels like a good fit. If you haven't had enough of this 30-minute episode to decide whether or not you want to chat with her about your human design, you can actually have a one-on-one and decide that for yourself. So yeah, I think
I'm much
ChatGPT.
greater on the one-on-one connection.
Yeah, yeah, she thrives. She thrives. But yeah, I think ChatGPT, great place to start, great place to get some base knowledge, to get a framework, but ultimately find yourself someone that can really guide you, because this is a deep ocean and you don't want to be caught without your arm floaties.
Of course, that I would love to work with whoever is interested in knowing more, if he or she feels like the resonance. But if not, also as a, how would I say, as a personal advice to anyone, just try to connect with a person that actually feels the right fit for you. So yeah, that's what I would say. I hopefully that would be me.
Yeah,
I'm super fun and super nice, and I don't bite, so just go ahead.
yeah,
But if you don't feel it, just look for the person that's the right
yeah.
fit for you.
Yeah, just know that there are a lot of other people out there doing human design chart readings. So you can absolutely find someone that does fit you and your personality and your needs. So it's all good. I was going to say something else. I was going to say that in general, something that we've heard our clients say a lot is that they really appreciate Vicky's not hands on, that's not what I meant to say. Vicky's grounded approach to human design and practical approach. So it's our objective during your session isn't for you to come out being an expert about human design. We don't care if by the end of the session you have no idea, what the types of energy are, what the energy types are, if you know anything about what a strategy is or what an authority is. We want you to leave the session knowing the important aspects about you that can help fulfill your needs and your life and feel you the most authentic you can be, and answer the questions that you are looking to answer. What we've kind of also noticed is most of our clients also are going through periods of transition, and when you are going through a period of transition, human design can be a really big game changer, because that's when we have most doubts of whether or not we're making the right decision. And so when you're aligned and when you know who you truly are and where you want to go, that's when making a decision is easy, right? But if you're confused about who you are and where you're going, then making the right choice is complicated. It's confusing. It's scary. So that's why our approach is this way: is to really give you the most practical and grounded and actionable session. This isn't about Vicky telling you things about your design. It's about you discovering your design so that you can truly integrate it and have an awesome life.
Yeah, because in that sense, I would say like human design is the compass, but you need to know how to understand what the compass is trying to tell you. And also, as you were saying, there's always in these transition times and a lot of times in life, but especially in transitions, as you say, there's usually a lot of confusion and doubt and sometimes fear, also because the mind comes in all the time, trying to have like a preview of what the consequences can be, like either in a beneficial and positive way, or in either in a detrimental or negative way, like if I don't get it right, what may happen, or if I get it right, what can even get to happen, and all these questions that we question ourselves. And yeah, human design and having a reading that it's so customized, like to you and to your understanding. And as you say, like when we go into a session, our like true goal is like the person actually gets something from it that actually helps them later to have a more grounded and secure experience of who they are and how they make decisions. So normally the thing is that after that, and I always like to say that in my sessions too, that you got a lot of things right now, but you're gonna get so much more during the next 1 to 3 weeks and a month, because a lot of more other things that are gonna come, insights and reflections that you're gonna get during the next month, while you still integrate and get more and more and more of all this information that we shared today. So that's super important too, and that part of the process is super important too for the person. So yeah, I would say it's super important to actually get a nice fit with the person that you are uh, choosing, like to accompany you in your self discovery process. And also it's super important that you have like this, as we say, as we always say, a critical point of view where you are contrasting, like what kind of information am I receiving, what kind of approach does this person have, not only to human design, to life, to experience. And if that resonates with you, if you are a fit for that, that's the nice thing. So yeah, that would be it on my side.
Perfect. I think that's a beautiful place to end the episode. If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, share it with a friend, give us a review. This really helps us reach more people and help more people. So, thank you for that. If you have questions, please feel free to send them via email, on Instagram, here in the comments of the podcast. We'd love to answer your questions as well in future episodes. And we will see you on the next point on the map. Bye.